This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast. Hey, friends, it's Lindsay Hine. Welcome to All Have Another with Lindsay Hine. I am your host, and we are wrapping up our wellness series. We did a 10-part series supported by Eternal, where we brought different conversations in the wellness space. And today we're wrapping that up with my friend Brad Stulberg, who has a new book coming out, The Way of Excellence, a guide to true greatness and deep satisfaction in a chaotic world. All right, I know you feel that title. I read his book over the past couple months and finished it on the plane on the way to the running event and felt like I was armed and ready to go for all that I had to do that week because, well, A, I always say experience helps a lot, but B, reading this book gave me like just the right mindset going into interviews and new things that I was doing. So it's really good. Brad has been on the podcast so many times. He is the author of several books, including The Practice of Groundedness, Master of Change, Peak Performance, The Passion Paradox. And he's a writer, a coach. He's also very into lifting. He's the dad of two. And he gives you really tangible ways to think about how you want to live a great life. I mean, that's what it boils down to. So I hope you'll go pre-order his book. It's called The Way of Excellence. We will link it in the show notes. We do end the conversation talking about goal setting and how to think about goals as we enter the new year. We talk about caring, about failure. And one of my favorite things that I really took from the book and the conversation is that, you know what? Like when you care a lot about something, you really do set yourself up for a heartbreak at some point. But like, what kind of life do we want to live if we're not caring deeply about things, people, events, goals? So, it's worth the heartbreak. It really is. Okay, so go pre-order his book, The Way of Excellence, and let's give this sponsor a little plug. Because this 10-part series has been made possible because of Eternal. You all know I love bringing athlete interviews every single Friday, but anytime I can run a series and talk about some different things and hopefully provide you with knowledge, information, and more than anything, encouragement in your everyday life. That's one of my favorite things about this podcast. So this is sponsored by Eternal. Eternal is a science-backed preventative health company built for anyone who takes their health and training seriously and wants to live up to their peak. Located in San Francisco and New York City, Eternal provides comprehensive integrated primary care services in addition to advanced testing, personalized health planning. They go beyond your biomarkers and data to provide real answers to any of your health concerns. From proactive care, acute care, and expedited referrals to performance testing, physical therapy, and personal training. They are healthcare providers that care about you and the lifestyle you strive to live. Whether you're trying to hit a PR, avoid injury, or simply want to have a better handle on your health, Eternal gives you the full picture and a plan of action. It's the kind of primary care I've always dreamed was possible. Check them out at eternal.co and become a member today. That's eternal.co. And again, they're located in San Francisco and New York City. Thanks again to Eternal for supporting personalized, evidence-based care for athletes like us. Eternal.co. All right, friends, if you've loved the wellness series, leave us a rating and review on iTunes. Tell us who your favorite guest was. Any kind of feedback you can give us, we truly appreciate. We're definitely going to have some more series going forward in 2026. And I really hope you enjoy my conversation with my friend, Brad Stulberg. All right, friends. Well, we have a returning guest who is one of my favorites on the show, Brad Stulberg. Welcome back to All Have Another.
Lindsay Hine, it's great to be here.
How is your December going? It's like I just spent 5 minutes telling you about my whirlwind happening here. How's everything going with you?
My December is going well. It is interesting because normally December is a natural time to ramp things down as we head into the holidays and take stock of the year, which I'm doing my best to do. And I've got a big book coming out in just a couple of weeks. So it's this interesting tension between ramping down the year and having a natural reflection period as winter rolls in, while at the same time ramping up for something pretty big.
Isn't it weird that I think like weather cycle and how it gets dark early and like our natural cycles really probably should be synced up to be closing down shop a little bit more, but there's just so much going on and so much to do in December. What the
Yeah,
heck?
electricity is to blame.
Right?
Before electricity, we did operate on those natural cycles. We had no choice. But Thomas Edison and colleagues, Ben Franklin, I think, was involved too. They really messed that up for us.
Come on, guys. Why'd you do
But
that? No. Thank you for
also,
electricity.
this podcast, the ability to watch a live stream marathon, like, it's not all bad.
Yeah, there's some really good things about it, but I do have to remind myself when it's 7:30 and I'm making all my kids go to bed and I'm following right behind them that there is nothing unnatural about that.
There you go. It's natural parenting. You could probably sell some kind of online guide and make a killing.
Oh my gosh, right? What are we not selling online? Well, Brad, The Way of Excellence is your new book, and we don't want to make anybody jealous, but I do have the privilege of getting to read it early. And I did get to finish the book. I actually finished this book, Brad, right before TRE this year, the running event. I finished it on the plane. And it was really great because I always feel like when I read your books, you're setting me up to do really well at something I'm about to do. So the example I'll give is I was about to interview Gabby Thomas, which for me was
It's a
a
big
really big
interview.
deal.
It's a big get for anyone.
Exactly. I had the privilege to interview her because of one of my sponsors, AmazeFit. They sponsor her. And I did that thing where I throw my hat in the ring on a random call. They said she was coming to TRE, and I said, well, if you need someone to interview her, I'm here. I did not think they would say yes. I thought they'd be like, yeah, we got it figured out, whatever. Anyway, it came back a week later. They're like, yeah, we do want you to do the interview. So pretty amazing. And as I'm reading this book, some things I'm like, okay, these are good refreshers. These are good things I need to know. And then I got to thinking about like someone like Gabby who pursues this life of excellence. I might be the basic way to say it, but obviously at a very high level on a daily, consistent basis. There were so many things from this book that I was able to just like almost phrase in the interview. So, like, I always come to an interview with a bunch of notes, right? And I have backup questions for things I will say if the conversation doesn't naturally flow, right? So an interview like Gabby, I'm like so thankful that the conversation ends up just flowing and I don't even have to resort back to my notes very much at all. And having just read your book, I think that that was one of the reasons I was able to execute it so well is because all of these principles that you talk about in the book were fresh on my mind. So, kind of a rambling way to say thank you for providing me with those thought-provoking things before this big interview.
Oh, I love it. That is so wonderful to hear. It especially brings to mind um, the chapter in the book on curiosity and this
Yes.
notion of brave new world, where when we take on these big challenges that perhaps we haven't done before or we're feeling a little unsure about, the start line of a marathon, in the gym, deadlifting more weight than you've ever done before, starting a new business, having a first kid or a second kid or a third kid for that matter, getting married, ending a relationship, or interviewing someone like a Gabby Thomas, it can be a little bit scary, and it's normal to be a little bit scared. It just means that you care deeply about something. You want it to go well. If we can approach those moments by shifting our fear to curiosity, and by shifting from self-talk of, oh God, like I'm in over my head, I don't know how this is going to go, to self-talk that looks more like brave new world. I don't know what's
Mm.
going to happen, but let's find out. This is a new horizon for me, and I'm really interested to see what I'm capable of or how this is going to play out. We end up feeling so much better and performing so much better. So I'm really glad that The Way of Excellence was able to help you maybe get into that mindset a little bit where you had the confidence to own your seat, but you could also approach it less from fear and apprehension and what if, and more from like, let it rip, brave new world. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen, but like, let's see how I perform in the spotlight.
Yeah. Did Brave New World, because I did underline that as well. I when I hear Brave New World, I think about, is it an Aldous Huxley book? I think about that. I've never read it, but tell me like when you started using that phrase for trying new things that might be kind of scary.
Very different than the book Brave New World. The book Brave New World is a dystopian, terrifying book that I would argue is very prescient for modern times. I also would argue that part of the reason I took a big swing at excellence is I feel like it's an antidote to that kind of dystopian, numbed out universe. The Brave New World in the book, however, the genesis of this is almost a decade ago. I was at the gym with my training partner, and I was about to attempt a PR deadlift. The bar is loaded with more weight than I've ever pulled before, and walking up to a bar like that is a little bit scary. Not so much because I'm worried if I'm going to make or miss the lift. I'm not a professional athlete. No one really cares. More so the genuine discomfort that you feel when you pressurize and you try to lift that much weight. It's no different than being on the start line of a 400 or an 800 for a runner. Like, you want to do it, and you know that you are about to self-inflict tons of uncomfortable sensations on yourself. So my training partner, his name's Justin, he looked at me. He's like, "How you doing?" And I'm like, "Man, I don't know." And he just said, "Brave New World."
Oh.
And like, it clicked, and I freaking rocked the lift. And after I went up to him and I'm like, "Dude, thank you so much," because like, that's what this was. Like, it's a new horizon. And I took that. Thank you, Justin. And now whenever I face a big challenge, that is the mantra that I go to. So when I take on a writing project with a publication I've never written for, or on a topic that I've never covered, and I have to face the blank page, that too is scary. No different than a loaded bar in the deadlift. I tell myself, Brave New World. When we had our second child, I looked at my wife, and the first thing I said to her was, "Caitlin, Brave New World."
Yeah.
And it sounds kind of like corny, but it really is this super powerful mindset shift from, I don't know if I can do this, I'm kind of scared, to let's find out what's going to happen next. And there's fascinating neuroscience that shows that within the brain, the neural networks that are responsible for fear and problem solving and curiosity, they compete for resources. They cannot both be activated at the same time. So when we adopt a mindset of curiosity, we can't be scared. And we all know this from our own lived experience. Think about how a child moves through the world and learns, a really small child, an infant, or maybe a toddler. They're not scared that they're going to fall, even though it hurts to fall, and even though it's frustrating for them. They're just so freaking curious about exploring the world that they get up and they try again. And that same mindset of curiosity can be beneficial to us, not just when we're kids, but when we're adults, as we pursue our own path of excellence, whatever that might mean, by embracing these challenges with Brave New World. So it's a very concrete takeaway for the listener. You're on the start line of a big race. You're feeling a little bit scared. You can reframe it and be really curious about what's going to happen next. And you can say, like, Brave New World. And the last thing I'll say is, you're not lying to yourself. I didn't say, "Brad, you've got this," because I don't know if I've got it or not. I've never lifted that much weight. You're trying to go sub 3 for a marathon for the first time. You don't know if you're going to do it. If you're like, "I got this, it's shoe in the bag," your subconscious knows that you're lying to yourself. But what's very honest and accurate is to say something like, "Hey, I put in the training, I've done the work, I've given myself evidence that I belong, and now it's time to find out what I'm capable of. Brave New World." And then the gun goes off and you let it rip.
Yeah, that's so good. You're a tatted up guy. Do you have that tattooed somewhere?
I don't. It'd be a good one, though.
Yeah. I kind of want it. You can
take it. I feel like we're the same age. I feel like I'm getting a little old for new tattoos, to be totally honest. Not
Well,
not for any other
one.
reason than it's great, but it's kind of a hassle. Like,
Yeah.
you got to go, you got to make an appointment. Like, I got kids, you got kids. Like, you got to make an appointment.
Yeah.
Then there's maybe a cancellation. Then you got to wait because they're always running behind. It's kind of like going to the doctor, and it actually feels like going to the dentist because they're just kind of drilling in your arm for an hour.
Yeah.
Who has time for that? So,
I know.
Yeah, maybe in the future again.
That's how I felt about my foot surgery. I was like, this is elective. What am I doing? You know, it all ended up boiling down to quality of life. Like, do it now because you already can't run like you used to. So, like, let's fix this now. But I felt the same way. I was like, I'm having this like big timeout for something that isn't even like something I have to do, you know?
I've got about 20 of them, though, so I'm definitely not. I'm a enthusiast and very proficient at the tattoo game. Maybe it would be a good one. It'd be a nice one to get like on your inside arm, so you just get reminders of it. Or if you really wanted to be a badass, I don't know what Glenn would think if you could pull it off. You could just get like Brave New World across your back, like shoulder blade to shoulder blade.
Oh yeah,
kind of like gangster style.
I think he'd make fun of me for that for sure.
That'd be a Brave New World. That'd be a big first.
That would be really brave. He'll make fun of me for any tattoo I get though. Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about the curiosity in kids because kids are just naturally curious, and then at some point we age out of curiosity. Because I always like to think of these things of like, how do I teach my kids these lessons early on? But the thing about curiosity is most kids already have that.
I don't think we age out of it. I think it gets beaten out of us because we get
Ah,
so scared to fail and we're so protective of our egos that rather than try something new and be curious about it, we have this default mindset of what if I fail?
yeah.
And then instead of trying the new thing, we just kind of take the road that we already know will lead to success. Um, and kids just don't have that extra baggage. Like they're not as worried about their ego. They're not as worried about failure. But all the best athletes, they all have this incredible mindset of curiosity. Kobe Bryant, for all his issues off the court, was an incredible basketball player with a killer instinct on the court. And before his tragic death, Kobe was asked, was he the kind of athlete that played to win or that played not to lose? And he said, I'm neither. He said, I
Mm,
play to figure things out. I
mhm.
play to learn something. And then he elaborated by saying that if you play to win, you put all this pressure on yourself. And if the outcome doesn't go your way, you're going to beat yourself up. And if you play not to lose, that's a very fearful place to come at the game from. And you're never going to get the best out of yourself. You're always going to be kind of protecting yourself. But if you just play to figure things out, that allows you to get absorbed in the moment and to lose yourself in the game. And that is the route to your best performance. So even someone who is known, the Mamba mentality for this fierce killer instinct on the court, he didn't step on the court to crush his opponent or to win. He stepped on his court with a mindset of curiosity to figure things out. And I just think it's like the best attitude to take into a hard workout, a hard race, again, new relationship, having a kid, new job. It doesn't matter what it is. Like if we can get really curious about what it is we're about to undertake, it allows us to shed that fear and perform our best and to learn something about ourselves. Because ultimately, so much of excellence is not just the thing that we work on and how we work on it, but also how that thing works on us. So you sign up to run a mile and you want to break 5 minutes, or you run your first marathon. Like, yes, you're working toward that goal, but that goal is also shaping you as a person. And it's that beautiful back and forth that makes all of this stuff so satisfying and fulfilling. Because at the end of the day, running 26.2 or 13.1 or a mile or 800 meters is arguably the most meaningless thing in the world. What gives it meaning is the people that we do it with and the lessons that we learn along the way.
All right, here's the deal, friends. I have been coaching runners since 2013, and I love that part of my job. It's a very small part. I keep my roster pretty low. I never coach more than 10 runners. At least I haven't in the past couple years. I have room for 3 right now if you want to join. If you have goals, if you want to run your first half marathon, your first marathon, if you want to be Q or set a new PR, I have a really, really holistic way that I coach. I really take your entire life into consideration when I create training plans, and it's a week by week situation. And then I also, if coaching is too expensive, too intense, like too much back and forth, and you just kind of want to plan and to move on your way, I have great training plans on my website for the half marathon and the marathon. I've got beginner all the way to advanced plans, and I use a very conservative approach with mileage building, and the plans come with pre and post run stretching and strength that are very basic, and what I think you should be doing is the bare minimum to get to the start line and finish line healthy. You can check them out at lindsayhine.com. I have put in a $10 discount code for the half marathon and the marathon training plans. Use the code December 2025 through the end of the year to get a $10 discount on either the marathon or half marathon training plans. I also have the bundles. So what the bundles are is you're just buying the beginner, intermediate, and advanced all together at a discounted rate. And that code December 2025 will get you $10 off. Just go to lindsayhine.com and click on the training plan tab at the top. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I've got some thoughts about programs I might do for the spring, which I realize I got to get on it if I'm going to do it. But email me, lindsay@sandyboyproductions.com if you'd like to join there. Yeah. would love to work with you. I love running, I love coaching, and helping people meet their goals has been a huge passion of mine over the years. So check it out, lindsayhine.com. All right, friends, back to the show. No, it's such a good point. And I don't remember the question I asked Gabby. I maybe could have listened back to hear, but I think it was something along those lines because at the end of the day, like so much of her life, the questions that she gets are, like related to her gold medal, right? Her 3-time gold medal. But it's like so many questions coming her way and so many things when people describe her and her identity are tied to those gold medals now. And it's like, well, that wasn't what the entire thing was, right? Like that's like it took every day for the last however many years to have that, and that was one moment with all these other pieces that really made up the moment, right?
Yeah, you spend, if you're lucky, a couple minutes on the summit of the mountain.
Yeah.
You spend 99.9999% of the time on the sides of the mountain climbing. And one of my favorite quotes is that the only Zen that you find on the tops of mountains is the Zen that you bring up there along the way. And I
Mm,
think that's probably what Gabby's
yeah.
getting at. For her, the top of the mountain is competing in the Olympics and winning that medal. But there's 4 years that go into that of consistent training, of discipline, of focus, of falling in love with the craft of running, of being really curious about how far she can get, pushing her potential. All of those things are what make it so fulfilling, and all of those things are available to all of us. That's what is so great about genuine heartfelt excellence is you don't need to win a gold medal. You can run your first 5K, but if you approach it with this mindset of intimacy and integrity and curiosity and focus, you get so much out of it, not just as an athlete, but as a person.
Yeah. When you said we don't age out of it, but like our fear of failure or whatever it is, like gets in our way as we get older. I think about that a lot because there are a lot of times where I'm like, maybe I won't do that, or maybe I won't try, or maybe I won't reach out to that person because I don't want to be embarrassed to get ignored
Mm.
or embarrassed to get the no or embarrassed because someone's like, who does she think she is? Why does she think she deserves, this moment or whatever? And even like when I think back to years ago when I started my podcast for parents, like that ran its course after 3 years. It never took off the way I wanted it to. It wasn't the success I thought it was going to be. And I was kind of embarrassed about it. Like I didn't like say anything really. I kind of just like quietly closed up shop on it. Um but yeah, I mean, I'm not sad that I tried because if not, I'd still be sitting here thinking, "Wow, I really could have done that and it could have blown up and been something." I mean, I wouldn't have known. And so yeah, I guess that's just my message to people who are thinking about trying something. It's like, okay, you might fail. I mean,
Yeah, and that's the cost of caring deeply about something and stepping into the arena.
yeah.
Um, Everyone can remember the cool kid in school who never tried. They sat in the back row of the class,
Mhm.
they phoned it in gym and music. And the truth is, that kid wasn't cool. That kid was scared and insecure.
Yeah.
And the reason that kid didn't try is because it was easier not to try than to try and risk failure.
Mhm.
Nothing is cool about that. What's cool is putting yourself in the arena and giving something your all. And if you do that and you push yourself, you're going to have such a better, more meaningful, more textured life. And you're absolutely going to fail along the way. Like failure is inevitable. By definition, if you are exploring your potential in anything, you're going to fail. Because if you never fail, it means you're not pushing the envelope far enough. But if you just accept failure as a part of this path, not as a be all end all moment, then it softens the blow a little bit. It still hurts, but it's not final. And it allows you to step into the arena and keep taking shots. And the truth is that nobody cares as much about our failures as we do. Like,
Right.
we think that everyone is like, oh, Lindsay's podcast didn't work out. No one thinks that. If anything, in your case, what I think is that why is everybody yelling is like the greatest way to describe parenting ever. And I'm so grateful to have that slogan now.
I know every time I catch myself saying it, I'm like, wait, it was a brilliant name.
That's the best.
It is one of the most common things we say. I said it a million times this morning. I was sitting on the couch and everybody was yelling and wrestling. My oldest was already to school, but my husband was back in the office and I'm like, stuck on the couch with this boot and I'm like, get out of here. Like, get to school. Everybody's yelling. No, that's such a good point. I actually have a kid that I worry about in this sense the cool kid factor. And I'm like, buddy, like I know it feels better to like not care and then not mess with not getting a good grade or whatever it is, but
Yeah,
like
you get your heart broken.
you got
If
to
you care,
care.
if you care, you get your heart broken.
You do.
Because
I
sometimes
underline
things
that a
don't go
million
our way.
times.
And it's
Yeah,
just so
that's
true. So how do I try to model that for my kid is I show him examples of my success, but also of my failures.
yeah.
And I talk to him about failing and I say, like, this sucks. I really wanted this and I didn't get it. And like, I was very sad about it,
Mm,
but I'm going to keep trying. And I'm really glad that I tried and I learned so much and it's going to make me better the next time that I try. And I know that if I do this for a long time, and this could be writing, this could be strength training, it could be anything, I'm going to have a lot of times when I win and a lot of times when I lose. And it's just all part of it. And like that's the message that I try to give to him. But I think it's one thing to say it, but you actually have to model it. Like you can't just
yeah.
have your kids see your successes. They have to see your failures. So I just was building up to this big year-end deadlift and I missed the lift. I didn't hit the lift. Didn't hit a PR at the end of the year like I'd hoped. And I showed my son the video of it and we talked about it for 20 minutes. And my hope now is that like when he plays basketball and he's like, I don't really care which team wins. It's like, no, I actually think you do. And you're just trying to protect yourself from losing. And it's okay to care and to lose.
Oh, yeah.
And so many adults need to hear this too, right? Not just kids. It is not cringe to care. What's cringe is being too cool to care.
Yes.
And
Gosh,
excellence requires caring. You're never going to be excellent at anything unless you care deeply, because my definition of excellence is caring deeply about something worthwhile that aligns with your values and goals. And if you never care deeply, you're never going to have excellence in your life. You're not going to have an excellent marriage. You're not going to have an excellent relationship with your kids. You're not going to have an excellent relationship with your sport. It's just never going to happen.
This is so hard because I'm picturing myself having that same conversation with my kids and showing them the video. How old's your son?
Theo is almost 8.
He's almost 8. Especially my older two. I see them watching the video going, Mom, you sold on the, like, kind of like making a joke of it. But it's like, gosh, it is such a worthwhile conversation. And I feel like my kids are at the stage where it's like, they wouldn't know how to take that conversation seriously. You know what I mean? But they'd still be hearing it.
Yeah, and I think it's also good then, especially as your kids get older, which yours are, and more into the teenage years, like seeing examples of other people who aren't their mom. Because I think whatever you tell them at that age, it's okay, mom, like cool.
Yeah.
But seeing examples of athletes that maybe play collegiate or professional sports, like laying it all out there and failing and crying. And
Totally.
like, hey, that's pretty cool. There's this great example just recently. The University of Nebraska women's volleyball team was undefeated. They had the best season ever. And then they got upset in the playoffs. They didn't make it to the Final Four. And the captain of the team was just like bawling in an interview. And her teammate, she couldn't answer questions in the post-game presser. And her teammate took the mic and said, this woman cares so much about this sport and this program. And what you're seeing right now is how deeply she cares about this. That's a phenomenal example. And those are D1 athletes. So yes, we need more of that. And it's not like faking, being super emotional for the sake of being emotional. Like, no, like you can be a badass and care deeply and still get your heart broken. It's like the cost of playing a game that you love or a sport that you love or doing an activity that you love. And we understand this, I think, innately in relationships, because we know that to love someone deeply means they're going to break our heart, because eventually the kids move out or your husband or wife dies. And that's like really fucking heartbreaking. And we just kind of accept, like, that's the price you pay for like giving a person that you love your all. This is going to break your heart, but the upside of it is like all this love. I think that the same thing is true when we relate to activities that really matter to us. Now, are you going to mourn a shitty marathon as much as you're going to mourn your kid moving out or the death of a partner? Of course not. But the more that you care, the more that you put in, the more you're going to get out of it, and the more it's going to break your heart, and it's all just part of the deal. And like, this is so integral to excellence. And this is the kind of stuff that gets overlooked in like the pseudo excellence, bro science, stuff on the internet. Just like, be a robot, optimize everything, wake up at
Yes.
4 a.m., take 185 supplements, have a 19-step routine. That is completely robotic. Like, it's heartless. There's no heart in any of that. And genuine excellence is this super heartfelt endeavor. And a big part of why I wanted to write the book is to reclaim excellence as an aspiration that is heartfelt.
Oh my gosh, the biohacking. It's like, geez, oh Pete.
It's pseudo-excellence. It's pseudo-excellence. That's what I call it. Or bro culture, or hustle porn. I mean, there's a million acronyms, but I call it pseudo-excellence.
Pseudo-excellence, yeah. There's some things I've bought into. Like, I wear a red light mask, Tell me, is there anything you do that is like hacky that you're like kind of cringe at yourself for, but you think it actually is a good thing?
I wouldn't say it's hacky because there's just so much evidence, but I take creatine, and I've been
Oh, you
taking
do?
creatine long before all the cool kids were taking
Yeah.
creatine. I take it for sport performance. I'm not convinced it has any of the other benefits that people are purporting, and at least not to the magnitude that people say it does. But it absolutely helps me in my single rep max bench press and deadlift. But no, I don't mess around with any of that other stuff because I haven't found anything that works.
Yeah, I think we've talked about cold plunging before on the podcast. I
tried it. It's a big to do. Like, it's fine, but like I was just kind of cold the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I did it. Like, it's actually not that hard to sit in ice cold water for a minute. It's just like it's a to do.
Yeah, I think that to do and like the bigger thing outside of like whatever people say like the physical benefits are is like that mental toughness benefit.
Yeah, there are no physical benefits of a cold plunge. All that's bullshit. Straight up. And like, I'm happy to show people the studies that people cite when they talk about the benefits. That study had a sample size of 15. They were unmatched controls. And the statistical methods made it look like there was a big result, but the actual difference between the cold plunge and the non-cold plunge group was the cold plunge group. They burned about 50 more calories over the course of 24 hours. No, over the course of 24 hours, Lindsay.
That's not enough.
You and I, we could do 30 jumping jacks right now and burn 50 calories about. So it's minuscule.
I need it to be about 350 to make it work.
And again, the controls weren't matched. So like the people who did the cold plunge had a significant more lean body mass, so they could have just burnt those extra calories based on the fact of their body composition. So it's not good science.
Yeah.
But all the podcast bros and sisters, they had to make a big deal of this, and they got sponsored by cold plunges and all this nonsense. That's all garbage. Here's where a cold plunge can be beneficial. If you find it very challenging and hard, and it takes discipline for you to get your ass in that freezing cold water, and that is a gateway to doing other hard things, then it is great.
Totally.
If you're already doing hard running workouts and you're already getting young kids out the door to school, like, there's enough hard things in my life. I don't need to add this other thing that is going to give me chills the rest of the day. That's how I feel about it. If I didn't have kids, if I wasn't trying to write a book, if I wasn't trying to deadlift, a gazillion pounds, and my life was just completely one of convenience and ease, would cold plunging be very beneficial? Absolutely, no doubt. But I have all these other hard things that I do that I like more than cold plunging and that I think are more meaningful than cold plunging.
Yeah. I mean, my son did it when we were in Truckee, California. He and two of his friends got in, and there was this like invigorating excitement.
It's insanely invigorating.
That's what
it's freezing.
It is. It's the mental.
Yeah, you get a crazy brain rush. Long before cold plunges were cool, back in my triathlon days, I lived in San Francisco, and I'd swim in the bay off of the coast by Alcatraz, and that water was freezing. And it is an insane rush that you get when you get in there. Like, it is exhilarating.
Scary, Brad.
It's fine. It is exhilarating. And it's hard. Like, it takes a little while to adapt, but then eventually you adapt. It's like anything. The first time you run a hard mile, it sucks, and then you adapt. So the point back to where we started is that, like, the caricature of excellence that is so often portrayed in pop culture and on the internet is very robotic. It's all about optimizing everything. It's not very human. There's not a lot of deep caring involved. And actual excellence involves a ton of deep caring.
It's so good. Yeah. What I had underlined, which is basically what you said, is you come to appreciate that you can either go through the motions and be superficially cool, but actually boring, Or you can step into the arena, lay it on the line, and care deeply. I also liked this. I underlined this as well. Caring deeply about something means beginning to identify with it. You start saying, I am an artist, or I am a chef, or I am an athlete, or I am a musician. I am a doctor. I'm a parent. It goes from being something you do to being part of who you are. This is to be expected. It is a sign of full engagement and intensifying care, a wonderful feeling, but it isn't without risk. True. True, true,
Yeah, that's
true.
right. 100% true. Because you're a runner and then you get injured. Well, then who are you if you're not a runner? Or
Right.
you're a parent and then your kids. I know. I see the look on your face. You're going to be an empty nester one day, probably, assuming all goes well with your kids. You want that for your kids.
Yes.
Shit's going to break your heart. There's no way around it because you care deeply. So, of course, you want to identify with those things. And it's important to make sure that there is more to you than any one element of your identity. So, in the book, I use a metaphor of a house. And if you've got a house that just has a single room in it and that room catches fire or floods, it's going to be very disorienting. You're going to have to move out of the house altogether. But if you've got a house that has more than one room in it, and one of the rooms catches fire or floods, you can go seek refuge in the other rooms. So in our identity house, rooms could be husband room, wife room, parent room, runner room, artist room, coach room. And there's no certain amount of rooms that you need to be a well-rounded human. It's just important to have more than one. Because if your only room in your house is I am a parent and nothing else matters, well, then when your kids move out of the house, you're not going to know who you are. If your only room is I am a runner, and that's the main thing that you identify with, the only thing that you identify with, when you get injured, you're not going to know who you are, and it's going to be terrible. So this identity house, it allows you to have different rooms in your identity house. So you can say, I am a runner, I am a parent, I am a partner, I am a creative. And then what's nice about that is at different seasons and different phases of your life, you can spend different proportions of time in different rooms. You can emphasize different things. So I'm not arguing for quote unquote balance. I'm not saying you have to spend the same amount of hours in each of the rooms. The rooms don't even have to be the same size. It's just important to have more than one and to not let any important rooms get moldy because you never know when you're going to have to go step foot in them and seek refuge in them.
You know, it's interesting. In the past, when I've been like an injured runner, I've had all of my other like physical activities to fall back on. I could still play pickleball. I could do my spin class. I could lift my weights. And now I had this surgery last week and I'm like, ooh, that room, that movement room, it was very, very big. And
it is still very, very big. And you're going to get back to it. But
I'm
go
going to
ahead,
get back to it. It's just harder when it's like it's all stripped at once. Like, because when the running gets taken away, when you identify as a runner, you're like, okay, my baby is taken away. But then you've worked to cultivate this healthy relationship with all these other forms of movement. And then those are gone too. And you're like, wait a minute. I didn't want you to all leave at once, you know? But you're right.
Yeah.
It's so temporary.
And here we are having this conversation, and offline, you said like how excited you were for the conversation. Not because I'm anything too special, but because you just love being a podcaster. Like that's another room in your identity house.
For sure.
Imagine if you didn't have that.
Oh, It'd be
harder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It would be harder. So you're still a great runner and you're a great podcast host. And I'm sure at different points of your life and maybe even at different points of the year, you think about and you spend more time being an athlete than a creative. And at other times, you maybe spend more time on the creative pursuits than the athletic pursuits. But they're both part of who you are. And if you only have one element of your identity, it just makes you fragile. The good news is it's never too late to add rooms to your identity house. It's like an actual house, and you can renovate and you can remodel and you can rearrange rooms. So it's this ongoing process of building your identity house. And underneath all the rooms are your core values. It's like the things that you care about most as a person. And you can make sure that each and every one of those rooms support your values and who you want to become. And at the end of the day, that's what living an excellent life. Forget being an excellent athlete. That's what living an excellent life is about.
All right, friends, you might be too late to order Christmas presents. I don't know, but it's time to treat yourself and get a Lagoon pillow. These are the best pillows I've ever slept on. Anytime I travel and I don't have my Lagoon pillow, I never get my neck quite right. And right now I'm actually sleeping on a couch because I had foot surgery and it's just a whole situation. We're staying at a rental house. Anyway, the only way this couch is working is because I have my Lagoon pillow. I actually have two. I have one behind my head and one on my side, and they are like my true comfort pillows, and I sleep so much better with them. One of their new pillows is a cooling pillow. Yeah, a cooling pillow. The Otter Cooling and Supportive Versatile Pillow. No matter how little or how much filling you need in your pillow, you make it just for yourself because they actually send you with the filling. It's not weird, I promise. Listen, just go get the pillow. It is the best pillow you will ever sleep with. Lagoonsleep.com/Lindsay to save 15%. Use the code Lindsay at checkout. All right, friends, back to the show. The room thing, that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And I think that we all should just take stock of those rooms regularly and then ask ourselves, are we allocating our time and energy in the ways that we want to allocate our time and energy? I have a bunch of rooms in my identity house, but really three that I care about most, and it's my family room, which is really husband and dad. It's my craft room, which is writing, and it's my athlete room.
Yep.
And if I have those three rooms and I'm making sure that none of those are ever getting left completely behind, I feel really stable and solid.
I'm surprised you didn't say 4 rooms and you didn't have community in there.
It's in there for sure, and it's a room. I said I have a bunch of rooms, but like I can go without that room if I need to. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I would say that one of the main reasons I refuse to move out to the country in a place where I can have like maybe a bigger
more
house,
chickens?
a little more space,
I
more
was thinking
chickens.
more chickens. Yeah.
Is that I need my neighbor to be able to stop by. I need to be able to stop by their house. Like I can't let go of that. I think some people could do really well. For me, that room is too big in my house for sure.
Yeah.
Need that interaction outside of my family. Okay, so we're approaching the new year. By the way, Brad's book comes out in January. What's the day it comes out?
It comes out January 27th.
Okay, January 27th. So y'all are going to want to make sure you pre-order this. If nothing else, you might have a Gabby Thomas interview that it's going to prepare you for, you know?
And you get great pre-order bonuses too. I want to plug
more.
these for a sec. I put a lot of time into them. I'm giving away an interactive workbook that is meant to accompany the book so that with each chapter you can do exercise to help with application. I'm giving away an exercise that helps you reflect on your core values and use those to set goals. So this is what I do with my performance coaching clients at the end of every year. There's a master class, there's a reading list, there's a one-pager. Like I really spent a lot of time with the bonus package because I feel like I've cultivated this group of readers and I want it to be just an incredible value more than just the book itself. So yes, it's a shameless plug, but one I'm proud of. So definitely pre-order the book. If you think you're going to get it, pre-order it and get all the bonus materials right now.
I mean, I'm all about a shameless plug. This is what I always say. I'm like, if you care
you gotta sell the thing
about what you did and you believe in it, you got to push it. And
and it's good. Like it's a good book. I think it's a really good book. I think it's going to help you. I think it's a value. There's a lot worse things you could spend $28 on.
100%. And a couple hours on reading it. Like put your phone down for a second and pick up a book. I mean, people always ask me how I read so many books.
Put that on a t-shirt.
That's it. That is how I read so many books. I mean, I listen.
That's a great t-shirt. Lindsay, you should make that t-shirt, by the way. Put your phone down for a second and pick up a book.
Put your phone down and pick up a book. You think it'll sell?
No, you said put your phone down for a second and pick up a book. I'd wear that. That'd do numbers.
Okay. All right. I'm an entrepreneur, Brad. I'll do it.
Yeah.
No, what I was going to say, I the whole of the internet, Brad, that I am in post-surgery is not good. I have given myself grace to like just be on the internet way too much, like just in Instagram holes, you know?
Yeah.
It's an embarrassing amount though. Like I'm to the point I'm like 5 days in where I'm like, this is starting to feel gross. And I've still been reading, but I'm like, okay, I think that you've had enough. You've indulged enough. You've given yourself that space, and now we can move on because the amount of things
called being on a bender.
I'm on a bender. That's what it is. It's so bad. It's embarrassing.
But it's good that you're in touch with yourself and that feeling because it's that gross feeling that moves you off the internet. I don't know if you saw, I just wrote about this, but there was a new study that linked heavy use of short form videos, so like TikTok and Reels, to significantly reduced outcomes in terms of the ability to pay attention,
Oh, yeah.
cognition, so the ability to think clearly, and then emotional health. And what's fascinating is you look at studies of regular readers and you get the exact opposite.
Wow.
So reading improves your ability to pay attention, it improves your cognition, and it improves your emotional health. So I think like there's so much in that punchy line of put your phone down for a second and pick up a book. Short form video especially, like it's just not good. What it does to our brains is not good. And it can be hard to put it away because it's addicting. It's like a pack of Skittles. Like they taste great when you're stuffing your face with Skittles, but if you eat too many Skittles, you start to feel like shit. And reading a book is much more like eating, I don't know, like brown rice and salmon or something more wholesome, where those first few bites maybe aren't as gratifying as the Skittles, but it makes you feel so much better. So even if it's not my book, I don't care. Pick up a book.
Totally. Yeah, I set my goal for 50 books and I read 40. When I finished the book I'm reading, which
awesome.
is Theo of Golden, I'm at 41. So I think I'll get
Heck
to
yeah.
42. So, I mean, it's
love
not
it.
this like world record pace, but like.
No, but you're a regular reader. It's part of your back to
Yeah.
identity. Like it's probably a part of your
house.
identity.
That's a room in my house for sure.
And it's an important room. It's like an intellectual room. It's a creative room. It's probably you're a more empathetic person because of it. So anyways, I mean, I'm a shill for sport and reading because I'm an athlete who loves to read and write. But I think that there's a lot that's good about both those things.
Totally.
Play a sport, read a book.
Play a sport, read a book. Okay, maybe that's the shirt.
We got a whole line of t-shirts.
I know. We could really make a killing on this. So let's end the conversation with a bit about goals, because I think there's two camps of people. People who are really big on setting goals at the beginning of the new year, and then people who make fun of people who set goals at the beginning of the new year, and they're like, you should just be doing this all year long. And I'm like, how about the story of my life? People can say I'm the most basic, boring person, but I'm always in the middle of every conversation. I'm like, there's nuance on both sides. That's like the story of my life. And I know it's vanilla and boring, but okay. I think it's an exciting time to reevaluate. I think the new year brings like these great feelings of reevaluating how I go about my everyday life. And so maybe we can talk a little bit about how you feel about setting goals in the new year.
I'm with you. I think there's a lot of nuance. First, the turning of the year is just a natural ritual that is built into our lives to take stock of things. So it's both cultural because we have a calendar that we created to mark time, but it's also very, I said natural. It is very natural. Like you mentioned, the seasons change. It gets darker earlier. So there's this turning of the year, and at a turn point, it's a natural time to step back and reflect. However, 91% of New Year's resolutions fail. So I'm not a big fan of resolutions because I don't think I'm that special. I assume that if 91% fail, mine's probably going to fail too. What I do personally, what I do with all of my performance coaching clients, it's this exercise that I mentioned that is one of the pre-order bonuses, is at the end of the year, I take stock of my core values. So the guiding qualities of my life, the attributes that I want to live by. Things like family, craft, mastery, wisdom, kindness, compassion, strength, integrity. There's so many different core values. I try to identify the 3 to 5 that matter most to me. I define them in really concrete terms. And then I ask myself, have I been living in alignment with these values the last year? What have I done well to live in alignment with those values? What have I done that is discordant with those values? Then I say, as I look ahead to the next year, in the things that I want to accomplish, am I choosing goals because I think I should choose them, or because I'm mimicking others, or because I think I want to be on the top of that mountain? Or am I choosing goals because the process of working toward those goals will allow me to practice these values? And that, I think, is the most powerful thing that we can do at the end of the year, is take stock of our values. If we haven't ever done this, come up with our values, figure out what they mean to us, ask ourselves, are we living in alignment with those values? And if not, do we have the wrong values, or have our values changed, or do we need to change our behaviors? And then once we have that locked in, then go to the drawing board for goals and make sure that we're not only aiming towards really high peaks, but we're climbing the right mountains. And this is not easy. Again, like that's why there's a 20-page exercise to go through this process. It takes time, but I think it's so much more valuable than just scrolling on Instagram and being like, everyone's qualifying for Boston, so my goal is going to be to qualify for Boston. Well, maybe that should be your goal, but maybe not. Like, you got to put some thought into it, because you may or may not qualify for Boston if you choose that goal. But what you are going to do is spend a hell of a lot of time on the process. So that process better be one that allows you to practice your values.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good. Do you have any exciting goals or projects? Obviously, the launch of the book, but anything that you're hoping to align your values with this year?
The launch of the book is definitely the biggest one for me. I feel like my past books, I was already on to the next one at this point of the process, whereas this one, I haven't started the next one. Like, I'm really just keen on getting this out into the world. I think it's my best work yet. I care about it. So I'm giving it my all. Another goal that I have is to continue coaching my son's youth sports teams. And now that my
Fun.
daughter is starting Little Dribbler, she's 3, to also coach all of her youth sports. That's a big commitment, but it's one that I feel really strongly about and I want to do. And then as an athlete, I have a goal of trying to increase my deadlift, which I know is going to be really challenging because I'm at a point where I have to change my form a little bit. And even though it looks like a deadlift is just like a meathead thing of picking up a bar, it's actually a lot more like a swim or golf stroke than you might think. There's all of these little cues. And I've been pulling the same way for the last decade, and I'm really comfortable pulling that way.
Huh.
But I think that now I've reached my limit or my capacity of pulling that way. And in order to continue improving, I'm going to have to make some tweaks. And that's going to be a really challenging process because it's going to feel different and uncomfortable. And I'm going to lift a lot less before I start lifting more.
Ooh, that's so good. Yeah, I just had Amanda McGrory on my podcast. I just interviewed her yesterday, and she's a Paralympic athlete. And she did the exact same thing before the 2016 Rio Olympics. It was her 3rd Olympic cycle. And she was like, the only way that I'm going to be able to get to where I want to be is she had to like kind of rewrite the book a little bit on how to get there. And like that starting over process is so scary when you've been doing something that worked for so long.
Yes, and the things that work until they get in the way.
Yeah.
And to practice what I preach, like, I'm stoked about it because I'm super curious.
Yeah.
It's going to challenge my ego, and I'm curious to see if I can be patient. I'm really curious to see if my nervous system can like learn a new way of deadlifting and how it should feel in my body. So I'm stoked for the challenge, even though I know it's going to be hard. And I think that's a good place to be in for any big goal.
Okay, so we're going to send everybody off with get curious about the challenges.
Brave New World.
Brave New World, care about something that matters, even if it might break your heart. And yeah, anything else to send everybody off with?
And go pre-order The Way of Excellence, www.wayofexcellencebook.com. Make sure that you fill out the bonus form on the website so that you can get all those bonuses. And I think depending on when this goes out, Lindsay, like I'd encourage people to take time to go through the values and goal setting exercise. I think you'll find it really, really meaningful and helpful.
Is that something you think you could do with your kids as well?
I think so. I think that you would have to make it a little more age appropriate, the language wise. And I think it depends on who your kids are and how old they are. But
Sure.
Absolutely. You start with a list of 100 common values. You start circling ones that are resonant. You put them in like groups. You figure out like what is at the essence of each group. You define that group. And then you ask yourself like, well, if one of my core values is presence, and I bring my phone with me to the dinner table, maybe I don't actually care about presence, or this behavior is out of alignment. It's really, really eye-opening what this does. And when you lock in and you start to increase the behaviors that do support your values and take away things that don't, you feel so much better and you perform so much better. This exercise I do with Olympic athletes, with incredible coaches, and I do it in my own life.
And I'll last just say, if you're still bringing your phone to the dinner table, lock in. Don't bring your phone to the dinner table. Come on, people. Don't live like that.
Do a sport.
Pick up a book. Yeah, do a sport. All right, friends. Thank you so much, Brad Stulberg. Thank you for coming back on the podcast, and go pre-order The Way of Excellence. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Brad, for joining us on the podcast once again. Check out Brad's new book, The Way of Excellence, a guide to true greatness and deep satisfaction in a chaotic world. You can check that out. We'll link to that in the show notes at sandyboyproductions.com. Learn more about this podcast and all the shows in our network at sandyboyproductions.com. You can also find me co-hosting the Relay podcast and Road to the Trials. All right, friends, we'll see you next week on I'll Have Another with Lindsay Hein podcast.